You're listening to the Franchise Freedom Podcast with Giuseppe Grammatico.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, the show where we help corporate executives experience time and financial freedom via franchising. Thanks for joining us today. So we are continuing with our series of answering your frequently asked questions we get on a daily basis, whether that's one-on-one working with a candidate and family, or internet questions, responses to the show. And today I wanted to tackle the idea of growth. How do I expand and grow my franchise? And we'll title that. That'll be the title for today. And a very common question, and I wish it was a quick answer, but we're going to kind of tackle the two areas here. So to sum it up in two bullets here, you have vertical growth and horizontal growth, and that'll be kind of the two ways to expand. And so let's tackle horizontal growth. And what that really means is basically when you look at a franchise, and we'll look at a service-based franchise that's territory-based. So maybe you're looking at something with 50,000 in population is the territory you're in. Horizontal growth would be essentially picking up additional territories. Each additional territory in this example would be an additional 50,000. And you would initially, in the initial purchase of the franchise, purchase those additional territories. So maybe it is 3 territories to start, 150,000 in population. And the key here is that you are not going to essentially develop them all at once. You can, but the franchise company will give you a schedule to say, okay, for every territory, it's going to take 6 months or 12 months to develop, so that within just say 2 or 3 years, you are developing all 3 territories. And the advantage to this is that you already know the system. It tends to be less of an overall investment in that you pay a separate discounted franchise fee per additional territory. But what you're doing is you're locking in your future expansion, right? You're not having to worry about someone else purchasing the territory next to you or around you. You're locking in this 3 territories to be developed over the course of time. So it's definitely a strategy to really kind of protect yourself. And you already know the business. So really, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 territories, you're really starting out with the same team and with a service-based business or service-based model with no brick and mortar or maybe just a small office. You are able to grow into the territories, develop the territory, add employees once your employees potentially hit capacity. So if you have something where a technician is used, once that person hits 50, 60% capacity, you look to add on another technician and maybe lease or buy another vehicle. So that's horizontal. You also have that with a brick and mortar, and brick and mortar basically states that, you just say same example, 3 locations, sticking with the same brand, and you are essentially going to lock that in really. So maybe it's for every 10 miles from where you are within a certain radius, you'll be eventually opening up 3 locations. This obviously is going to take much longer, much more expensive with the build outs. But that's really kind of staying in your wheelhouse, staying with the same brand and keeping things a little bit more simple. Now, when we look at shifting gears, vertical expansion, or we can call it franchise stacking. You may have heard me talk about that on one of the previous episodes. This is a way where you stay, we'll go back and in the same order in the service, business, and maybe it's a painting service to give examples, a restoration service, a mosquito spraying service, whatever the service is. And really what you're looking to do is add on complementary brands. So if you are working within a parent company, many of the parent companies, I'm not going to speak for all of them, will also give you that discounted franchise fee. Upfront investment is going to be greater because now, if you had a painting service and then you're adding a cleaning service, there's going to be, additional training, different employees that are handling the painting or contractors, and different employees or contractors handling the cleaning. So upfront I always look at it this way, that the investment may be greater. There's a time investment. You're learning another brand, although it's still home service. You still have to go to training and hire those individuals. And obviously you'll have different equipment. The advantage is that your client acquisition typically will drop because you are going back to all your previous employees. So if we were in the painting business and we had 200 customers, we would go back to all those 200 customers and say, hey, you were happy with the service. We painted your home. We are now in offering cleaning services. Would you be interested? So it's a easy way to upsell, I always say. So if you have a salesperson, going back to every customer would be priority one, and mentioning that there's an additional service line that you're going to be offering. So a little bit different on brick and mortar, but you're really with brick and mortar, you're looking at, if you're within a 10-mile radius, maybe it's a brand that's is fast serve burgers and maybe something a little bit more casual dining options and things like that can complement one another. But you could really take advantage of this in the service space. So with going back to the vertical, the brand stacking and things like that. So as I mentioned, there's some advantages, a little bit more in the investment up front, but you definitely can go back to your existing customers. And sometimes people don't know where they're at, where they want to be out. And it's one of those instances where we had a family that loved the brand they were with and finally decided to expand to area, was sold out. Have to really kind of skip over a couple counties in the state they were in order to expand. And what they opted for was adding that complementary brand. And so sometimes when the territory, if you didn't take advantage in the very beginning of purchasing multiple at that discounted rate, then it's like, okay, well, let's shift gears and let's start adding brands. So definitely some advantages there with a parent company that has multiple service brands. Very easy to do. A lot of the systems are going to be similar, same marketing, same CRMs and things like that. If you're not dealing with a parent company and it's two separate, still can take advantage of those systems and kind of figure it out with the franchisor. But just two ways to think of it: horizontally, just sticking with what you know and going wider. Definitely going to be more travel time, but you have to factor in your role in the business. If your role really is to oversee and not really travel, then you want to make sure your employees are strategically placed within that territory. So if it is going back to those three territories, maybe the office and maybe the key employee is strategically located directly in the middle of that territory. And going back to the stacking of brands, there's definitely going to be some synergies. You're going to maybe be able to use a general manager for both, maybe the same bookkeeper, same customer service. And then your technicians will be separated out based off a skill set, vehicles and equipment and things like that. But I wouldn't say one is better than the other. Sometimes things happen to fall into place. Territory is sold around you. So your really other option is to add a brand that complements. So definitely things to think about early in the process, just because it is a way, as I mentioned, to really lock in your future expansion. And also it affects funding. And this is a conversation when you're working with a funding company to kind of figure out, okay, SBA loans have been very popular. ROBS, the retirement rollover for business startup, have been very popular. But sometimes as a strategy, if you're using a combination of products and services, especially if the plan is to expand within the same brand or stacking those brands. So great conversation to be had with your funding company early on in the process, just to look at possibilities, just to figure out what is the cash out of pocket, what's the liquidity needed in order to fund this project. Does the SBA cover all three territories? Does it just cover the first? So things to consider. And your funding company, we work with a few, can definitely walk you through that process. So hopefully this was helpful. There's not one right or wrong. As I mentioned in all my shows, it really sometimes comes out to what works best for you. And then, secondly, in this case, what is available to you? If there's no additional turf or areas around, do you just want to stay closer to your home market and add some brands? So Could talk a lot more on this, and I wanted to keep this one to 10, 11 minutes. So if you have any questions, love to answer those questions for you. We have a few more shows coming up in the series, and we're deciding to bring back guests or not. So we'd love your feedback there. If you're looking for a specific topic, we'll definitely bring a guest on that can, speak on that specific topic. So we appreciate your support. We value your comments and questions. And again, this show is built on your questions, your concerns, ways we can help. So we appreciate everything. We just hit 3 years, just passed our 3-year mark in the podcast. We started Q1 of 2020, the crazy year. And again, 3 years strong. We're definitely going to be continuing with the show, weekly show. We were playing with the idea twice a week or every other week, but we're going to continue with the weekly show. And again, the feedback is crucial. So if there's a specific question, you can message me here right on the show, however you're watching the show. Best place is right on the website, ggthefranchiseguide.com. You can schedule a call with me. You can send me a message, ask a question. I respond to every single one individually. And again, we appreciate it. And guys, we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways Giuseppe can help. 1. If you've ever considered owning a business of any kind, you owe it to yourself to get a copy of Giuseppe's book, Franchise Freedom. Download your free copy at ggthefranchiseguide.com/book. 2. Want to understand how successful executives make the transition from corporate to owning their own franchise? Join Giuseppe's next online presentation, Franchise Freedom: How to Escape the Corporate World and Have Financial and Time Freedom by Owning a Franchise, by going to ggthefranchiseguide.com/video. 3. Want to work with Giuseppe one-on-one to identify the right franchise opportunity for you, to navigate the process, and get plugged into experienced franchising advisors? Send him an email to gg@ggthefranchiseguide.com with one-on-one in the subject, and he'll send you all the details.